just won Lamar Hunt's trophy.
These games are rare. For some, they never come.
Kansas City is the AFC champion.
But now, we get to take this show on the road less traveled. And the next step is bringing the Lamar Hunt Trophy back home. This season, we've embraced a new road.
Wide open left side, caught, touchdown!
We know it's not about what stands in our way. It's about standing on business.
I'm doing it!
Anytime.
At the 10-yard line.
Any place. No matter what. Now, another challenge awaits, but we'll be ready. We're here to keep the Lamar Hunt Trophy where it belongs, and we've never wanted it more.
The Chiefs defeated Buffalo in epic fashion last week to win their 13th playoff game since 2018. And now for the 6th straight season, Kansas City finds itself in the AFC Championship game with a trip to the Super Bowl just one win away. We are 2 hours from kickoff. You've waited all week for this very moment. It's finally here. It is time for football in Chiefs Kingdom. Let's do this. My name is Matt McMullen, joined by voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. This is Field Pass presented by StorageMart. And Mitch, here we are again. It all comes down to this.
Never get used to it. I love the fact that the winner of the AFC gets the Lamar Hunt Trophy. And for years, we were yearning to win it for our founder. Now we have a chance to win it for the 4th time in 5 years. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So this matchup is obviously rife with storylines. Let's talk about one of the major ones here, and this is the matchup between the two best defenses in the NFL by a variety of metrics. Baltimore, they allowed the fewest offensive points of any team, but the Chiefs were right behind them. Second fewest points allowed, just 10 points behind Baltimore. The Ravens had the most sacks of any team in the NFL with 60, while the Chiefs had 57, right behind them with the second most in the NFL. This Baltimore defense is really good, gets a lot of credit, and deservingly so, but for whatever reason, this Chiefs defense has been right there with them all year. They're still not getting the credit they deserve, I think.
No, and they just continue to play the Chiefs defense week after week after week. What they've done in the second half of games is astonishing. To yield no double-digit outputs really over a span of 2 months. That's pretty crazy. This Baltimore defense, though, has a brilliant resume. First team in 54 seasons to lead the league in scoring defense and takeaways and sacks, as you mentioned. And then the first team, only the third team to have 25-plus points a game, but also lead the league in scoring defense and rushing defense, the 72 Dolphins and the 85 Bears.
It's pretty good company. We'll talk more about them here in a moment. Let's stick with the Chiefs defense, though. Yeah. And you mentioned the second half defense, and that was so good last week against Buffalo. They held the Bills to only 58 rushing yards in the second half last week and just 7 points. And that continued a trend for this Chiefs defense. In terms of points allowed, the Chiefs were the best second half defense in the NFL this year, and it's continued here into the postseason. Think about their 2 playoff games. They faced the Dolphins, who are the #1 total offense in the NFL this year, and the Bills, who are the #4 total offense in the NFL. They've allowed a grand total of 7 second half points so far this postseason run.
And it's what they've done to defend the run in the second half. Miami, who had great runners, we talked about that on our Field Pass show, were shut down. Mostert and Achane did not have a double-digit run in that game. And then Buffalo, which accentuated the run to get to their 6-game winning streak. You mentioned the 58 yards in the second half. And that's what they focused on. That's what these guys focus on. Their other stuff that they do is focused off their run game, especially the quarterback run game. But the Chiefs are equipped to beat these guys because of their prowess in that category.
Well, let's talk about that because, this Chiefs defense has been awesome all year, and we'll need them to be awesome here today against a very good Baltimore offense, which ranked 4th in the NFL in scoring this year because of their running game. They had the #1 rushing attack in the NFL this year. They averaged 156 rushing yards per game, and that was primarily divided between 2 players. It was Gus Edwards, a running back, very good player, but also Lamar Jackson, who's likely the MVP of the NFL this year. Electric, dynamic player. there. He led all quarterbacks with 841 rushing yards this season, and that included 29 runs of double-digit yardage. So it's kind of twofold because the number one priority for the Chiefs defense is stopping this Ravens running game, but it's their downhill design runs with Edwards, but also Jackson's scrambling ability.
And Justice Hill's not bad.
Yeah.
You throw him in there, and they have Dalvin Cook on this team
And
as
they
well.
had Keaton Mitchell before he got hurt, too.
And J.K. Dobbins.
Sure.
So this is the equivalent in the NFL of a service academy in the way they run the ball and the ingenious ways that they design those runs and disguise them, Matt. But if you're going to get ready to play Baltimore on the road, you beat Buffalo on the road. The two teams that do what these teams do with the quarterback run game and by design are these two teams. So I really think last week playing Buffalo, to have that mindset and have that in your DNA will help win this game today.
Kind of a dress rehearsal
No
almost
question.
last week. And yeah, containing Jackson is really key in this game because he can do so much with his legs. He had 5 runs of double-digit yardage last week against Houston. And when he's moving the ball with his legs, also opens up what he can do in the intermediate passing game.
Again, that's where they're very creative. They'll make passes look like runs, and they make runs look like passes. It really will test the mental of this Chiefs defense, which has been so good all year. Now, his passing has been better this year. He still struggles on like 5- and 7-step drops in a conventional passing game. But kind of think of what Tim Tebow did when he was at Florida. He'll show run and then jump pass, and he loves to throw to his tight ends. He gets Mark Andrews back today, but his QBR when he targets tight ends is in the 139 range. 11 touchdowns, no picks. But that's because of the design. Oh, it looks like a run, and then all of a sudden it turns into a pass. Many of those passes are going to tight ends.
Sure, and you look at Pro Football Focus numbers. I know we don't always agree with those, but if you look at his Pro Football Focus grade for throws between 10 and 19 yards this year, they rank him as the #1 quarterback in the NFL. And you mentioned it, getting a big weapon back here today, an all-pro tight end, Mark Andrews.
So strong, big. The OU fans that are Chiefs fans know all about him, but he's been so consistent, and he's just powerful. You can have him covered, and he'll still make a play. Very much like Kels, but different than Kels. He's more power guy, and he'll just run spot routes and hooks, but still very, very dangerous, and you've got to match power for power against Mark Andrews.
Yeah, overall, this offense is really good. We all know that. But the Chiefs' offense is really good, too, and really hitting their stride, I think. Let's talk about their efficiency last week because it was tremendous. The Chiefs needed only 47 plays against the Buffalo Bills to rack up 361 yards and 27 points. That's 7.7 yards per play. And they did so with great balance. They had 24 runs in that game and 23 passes. I really think a similar recipe could work here today against this Ravens defense.
No question. You can go a lifetime and not see a team have 43 advancements and 27 points. I mean, that's the epitome of efficiency. I do think Patrick's run game is going to be key today. I did a minute with Mitch on it this week. He's our leading rusher in the postseason in history. Doesn't have to run it 10 times like Lamar Jackson. But, Matt, all of the discussion has been about Lamar Jackson running the ball. Patrick Mahomes has some of the most impactful NFL postseason runs in history. So we know about Pacheco. I saw him this morning. He's ready to go. We know that Clyde will get in there, maybe even Pirine. But Patrick Mahomes running the ball can be a tipping point in this game.
Well, and here's the thing. If this Baltimore defense has one weakness statistically this year, it's against the run. They allowed the 8th highest rushing average in the league this season. Nobody's really talking about that, but this Baltimore defense wants to get you behind the chains. If the Chiefs can run the ball effectively in this game, it plays right into their hands.
Well, you nailed it. You've got to stay ahead of the chains. No more like 3rd and 7 false starts. Half their takeaways, which are 105 takeaway points, half of them have come on like behind the chains kind of plays.
Yeah.
When they get you down, they push you down.
Desperation kind of
Just
stuff.
a little bit, and then all of a sudden they get some exotic stuff that they run. I talked to Pat about it this. If you run the ball at them, I want to give the analogy, and I respect the Ravens, so don't think they're the bully at the end of the block. And what bullies do not like is to be punched in the mouth. You stand up to the bully. The Chiefs can stand up to the bully today.
Well, look at what they did against Houston last week. Houston was consistently behind the chains, and that's really what they've done all year long. I mean, this Ravens squad leads the NFL in sacks on first down this year. So from second down, you're already playing from behind. They also forced opponents to lose 580 yards via negative plays this season. That ranks second most in the NFL. You can't do that against these guys offensively because you're right. They do play kind of bully ball. They want to get you behind the chains, unleash their great pass rush. For the Chiefs, you got to find success on first down, and they did do that last week. The Chiefs averaged 6.5 yards per play on first down last week. Just had 5 third downs all game. Got to do that again here in this one to keep the pressure on that Baltimore defense.
And how'd they do it? With the balance. You've got to make Baltimore guess here just as much as Baltimore wants to make you guess, and that is staying balanced, run, pass. The first, it's amazing last week that in those 43 snaps, there were only 5 third downs. That's crazy.
Amazing.
Again, you can go a lifetime and not see that happen. But still, you've just got to be really good on first and second down and take the fight to them. It starts with the offensive line, and I know we're going to get to that in a second. Big day for Nick Allegretti. But still, the offensive line started this whole spurt the week after the Raiders game. They said, follow us, let's go. And a lot of the first and second down success has been due to the O-line.
Yeah, our guys can do it. It will be a challenge, though. And for more on this challenge of facing this Ravens defense, I caught up with one of our favorite people, Peter Schrager from NFL Network, earlier this week. All right, we're joined now by Peter Schrager from NFL Network. And Peter, I want to ask you about this Ravens defense. #1 scoring defense in the NFL this year. Lead the NFL in takeaways and sacks and a whole bunch of categories. When you watch this Ravens defense, what stands out to you?
Oh, they're so good at all 3 levels. I think their defensive line is vastly underrated, and Clowney has this career resurgence. He's all over the field. And inside, their 2 big guys are great, and Matabuke, and they get what they get out of Michael Pierce and Brent Urban. They're very good at the defensive line spot. Then their linebackers, I think, rival the Chiefs for best in the league. When you're talking about, obviously, Roquan and Queen, but I think Van Noy's been good. And then on the back end, this Kyle Hamilton does it all. He's like a Swiss Army knife. He plays everywhere, and he's got other guys back there, and Geno Stone and Stevens. Like, good team all up and down. There's no real sore spot, no real weak spot, and they show that week in, week out.
Yeah, they've been really impressive all year, just like you said, at all 3 levels. With that in mind, the Chiefs offense had so much success last week against Buffalo. What are the keys for Mahomes and the Chiefs offense here in this one to find a similar amount of success?
Get some points early. I know that sounds pretty trite, but like, get the points early, because once Baltimore gets a lead, they start like an avalanche, and it's like a snowball, and it just keeps coming and coming. And that's how they beat these teams. I mean, they blew out Detroit. They blew out Seattle. They blew out San Francisco, and it was that avalanche thing, and they saw it in the second half of last week. So if I'm the Chiefs, you got to get them off the field a couple times in the first half. You can't just have the Ravens come marching down. But most importantly, you need to put points on the board in the first half against Baltimore. If you could hang around, you got a shot in this one, a whole lot more than a shot if Mahomes is getting the ball in the third and fourth quarter with the game still in contention. But the Ravens, those guys, once they get the lead, they keep on pounding you, and they just continue to pile on. So do not let them get that early lead, because I think even if it's a 10-0, 13-3 deficit early, that could be too much against this Baltimore team in that building.
Sure, it'll be a challenge. This Ravens defense has been so good all season long, but the Chiefs offense heating up at the perfect time. Should be a heck of a matchup here this afternoon. Peter, awesome stuff. Really appreciate your time.
All right, thanks so much, Matt.
All right, great stuff there from Peter Schrager. We just got the inactives. Kind of a mixed bag here, but we do have some good news. Isaiah Pacheco is active here today. So Isaiah Pacheco, questionable, coming in with an ankle and a toe injury. He is active here in this game. And safety Mike Edwards, who is in concussion protocol all week, he is active here today. We are not going to have Willie Gay, unfortunately. Willie has that neck injury, not going to be able to go. He is inactive. And then we already know about Derek Nottie, Kadarius Toney, and Joe Tooney. Let's talk about Tooney here for a moment. So he has the pectoral strain, not going to play here today. He's like the toughest guy on planet Earth. So if he could go, he would have gone, but he just can't go here today. The good news is the Chiefs might have maybe the best backup guard in the NFL, and Nick Allegretti, who has a ton of experience at that spot.
Nick started all of the playoff games in 2020. As a starter in the regular season, Nick Allegretti's 12-1. It does put you behind the 8 ball when you want to go 6 offensive linemen, because Nick's that 6th guy. Nick's ready to go. He'll battle these guys, and they got Justin Madubuike. But to me, it also highlights the biggest advantage the Chiefs have to win this game, and that is, think of the Chiefs roster. That Chiefs roster combined has, Matt, 319 playoff victories.
Wow.
The first and second year guys, the Chiefs rookies and second year players, are a combined in the playoffs 49-0. Now, that could mean victory today, because this stage, as you well know, everything just goes higher. It's like it's Super Bowl-like. And so that playoff experience, successful playoff experience, even in the young guys, could pay off. The Ravens last week, 28 of their 53 guys got their first playoff win.
Are you fired up? I
I
can't
am
tell.
fired up. I'm focused and fired up.
I love it.
Eat that camera if I could.
I love it. Let's briefly talk about the Ravens inactives. They're pretty healthy coming into this game. The one significant one is corner Rock Ya-Sin with a knee injury. He is questionable coming in. He's not going to play here today. He is inactive. Corner Marlon Humphrey was the other one we were watching. He was questionable coming in with a calf injury. I believe he got hurt back in week 17, missed last week's game due to that injury. He's going to play here today. We'll see how effective he can be, but not having Rock Ya-Sin, not a starter per se, but a rotational guy. We'll see how big of a deal that is.
He was good with the Colts. He's been good. It affects their sub package. When they have to go nickel and dime, it affects them because he's in there and he's a tough player. And I like Marlon Humphrey as a player, but he's going to be playing hurt today. We saw it last week with Buffalo, especially in the second half, the Rasul Douglases and the guys that go, I got to go in this game. Even their punter, Sam Martin, probably shouldn't have played, but they all want to play. I can go. But does that mean they're going to be effective? We'll find out.
We will find out. What an opportunity this is here today. The Chiefs going for their 6th straight AFC Championship game. Obviously, they're going to play in today and trying to get back to the Super Bowl for the 4th time in 5 years. This team has been so resilient all year long. It's been an up and down season at times, but once again, they're back in this moment where they wanted to be when the season began. Let's try to get back to the Super Bowl. For Mitch Holthus, I'm Matt McMullen. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Let's go get a victory!